So guys, we're going to be putting together a double-sided middle lock today. So we're going to start, we've got our bar cut, we've got our locking bars cut to size already, and our mechanism all laid out. Typically we want to start by making sure that the top of the bar is orientated away from us on the bench, so the top side's up. We want to start, we measure out to the center point of our bar, and we put a nice little line. Now this, as long as we keep in between our two ridges, it will be covered by the handle anyway, so you don't have to be too gentle about where we mark that. You then grab our cutter guide, slide it on, and just align the center line with the center. I'm going to pre-drill this with a 3/0 drill bit, just dropping through the first side only. I use one of our small 6-gauge countersunk screws just to hold the guide in place. Don't have to screw that down tight, it's just to hold the guide so it won't slide. Now, because we're doing a double-sided lock, I will just use some packers just to lift the bar off the bench, because the router bit is going to drop through the bar and we don't want to route slots in our bench. Alright, so safety gear on, as you can imagine, for this one. So in we go. I can drop my router on the guide. So starting hard back to the edge, we start. So there's your first slot cut. Now if this was a single side, that's where we would be stopping for this side. But because we've got a double-sided lock going in this, we're going to go through 2 layers. I'll do this one and then I'll cut this next one all in one shot. There you go. So that's our slots cut. Now we can remove our cutter guide. We want to hold onto this screw because we'll be using it in a moment. Then we can put a small countersink. You don't have to go too deep, but we want to put a small countersink in this bar, and then we're going to clean things out. So just in the same hole that we use to fix the lock, just a small countersink, and then we can clean things out. Now this is a very small bar, as you can see, so pretty easy to blow out. If it was a longer bar, you'd want a bit of compressed air, get it in either side, and make sure you get all of the swarf out of the inside of the bar mechanism. Alright, so now we're at a point we can assemble our lock. So we've got our lock mechanism here. We can put this together. I'll just get this out of the way. We can put this together on the bench very easily. So inside, facing us, which is very important for this point, and we want to put the shorter of the 2 bars. So the shorter of the 2 bars in the left-hand side. Now, you'd be putting that in. We'd then be using a 3/0 drill bit to drill through that bar. So we're drilling and drilling through, and then using one of the small blunt profile screws to fix that locking bar into the lock mechanism. So we don't have to go crazy tight with that. Just so it nips into the bar and so it's recessed nicely underneath. So the next bar goes into our drive block, which is this separate piece. Once again, sliding in, you would then pre-drill the hole and then drive the second of these small 6-gauge with a blunt end profile into the drive block and through that locking bar. Now importantly here guys, we want to make sure that the taper that we've cut, the 45 tapers on our lock bars, are obviously facing in this upright position. So if we look overall, they're facing in. Now, if this were a very long bar, you'd want to be putting it in from either side, because if it was, say, 6 meters long, you may not have a 12-meter area to slide the whole internals in. So we can slide it in. Before we do that, we're just going to pop this spring, so the return spring, inside the lock mechanism. And that just sits inside there. If it comes out, it's no big worry. It will be caught when we push the drive lock mechanism in. So we slide this into the cavity inside the bottom rail. That slides in. And we're looking to align the slotted holes in the locking mechanism with the slotted hole. So if it's here and you can see some of that slotted hole, that's not where we want to be. We want to align it. So you'll see both of them are nicely aligned. When doing that, that will align the center point hole with the hole we drilled earlier. So we're going to return, grab that 6-gauge screw that we used before, and we're just going to pop that in that hole. Once again, doesn't have to be crazy tight. We're just going in and nipping it up. Alright, so that's our lock centralized. Then we can put the longer of the 2 bars with the drive block in the right hand side. Once again, making sure we've got the cut facing up, and that goes in and pushes into the locking mechanism. So that's our lock together. So we're now at the point that we can assemble our handle. So handle assembly is pretty straightforward. We've got a top and a bottom to the handle. So we want to make sure that the top, where you've got the arrows, is once again facing up towards the top of the bench. We start by doing our left-hand side hole first. Because we are doing a double-sided handle, we're going to be using the longer of the screws that come with the double-sided handle lock. So we're going to put this in. We're not going to worry about getting both holes in first. We're only going to be worrying about doing the first. So we put it in, we can align the hole, and we're just going to wind it in about 10 millimeters. So just like that, just so it's sitting there, and then we're going to put it in, drop it in that hole. And then going to push this drive block in, which if this was a long bar, of course you may not be able to reach this end, so a stop on the end of the bench will help to push that. And we're lining up with this hole here. Alright, so we've got to catch that. So that handle goes in, you can feel it, and you can actually feel when you're in that hole as well. So then you push in and the lock goes together. So once again, going in a couple of mil, and what we want to try and do is have it so the screws are just protruding through the drive blocks inside the handle. So I'm going to go a little tiny bit deeper, and then I'm going to start putting the backside handle on. So once again, the backside handle does have an up and a down position as well. So we're looking for the arrows again on the top, and they go on the backside of the lock here. So we want to line them onto the screw threads, and that you can feel that when you put it on, you can't actually move it, and then you just pop the screws in another couple of mil, each of the screws, just to locate it, and then you can pop the bar back face up, and we can put some pressure on to drive those screws home. So we don't want to go too tight here, guys, just so we can get a little bit of tension on the impact driver. We're a little bit firm there because the screw's not returning, the handle's not returning. So I'm just going to come back with a hand screwdriver and just back it off, 1/8 of a turn to 1/4 of a turn. And there we go. So now it's returning beautifully. Both sides are returning and the lock is operational. So if this were a very long bar, say in excess of 3 meters, we may want to add our locking bar supports. And what this does is just help stop any rattle inside the bar and help support that locking bar. So these could go in, they just slide in, and you want to push these about half the length of the locking bar, which would put them to sort of a 1/4 away along the bottom rail. So they can slide in. We won't use these because this is such a tiny bar, it's not required, but they would go in from either side. And you can just use a piece of locking bar to essentially slide them in, because they will stay inside the bar itself. So beyond that, we're now ready to put our bottom bar end caps on. which essentially go in very easily. So we're just pushing them in from either side, and they're just sliding on over our bar. Little tap with your hand, and on we go. So you can see our locking bar is still sticking out, and fully operational. Alright, our final step to finish our bottom bar is we've got another couple of 6-gauge screws, which we're just going to pop in the end of the bottom rail. So this is just keeping those bottom bar end caps in. Excuse me. So that's just going in. Once again, doesn't have to be crazy tight, just to go into the reveal. So I've got one that side and one this side, and we're finished. So that's now a fully operational double-sided locking mechanism. Returning, all done. Ready for installation on your skin.